Welcome, Wargamers, to the Shrine of Chaos. Today, I have a very special guest. It's Aaron from CoolGuysNation. Hello, Aaron.
Hello, Dave.
Now, the cool thing about this stream today is because we're going to be talking about a board game, and we'll be giving away some copies of said board game. Now, this board game, which
Smells really nice.
is titled Legacy of the Rangers board game. This is something that we've been working on for a number of years. This was part of the Kickstarter that happened, I want to say over 4 years ago. Now, this game was just fulfilled by the manufacturer, the game designer. We got it in from the manufacturer, and we have fulfilled the Kickstarter backers for it. And so that's why we're doing the stream now, is to make sure they were all of their orders were fulfilled first, and now we are making it available to the general public, and we're selling it on the Mini Wargaming store website, which is shop.miniwargaming.com. You can get copies there. I've included links in this post, so if you're watching this on YouTube, there's links in the video description to get a copy of the game. We're also doing bundles for a copy of this game, plus a DVD copy, so you can get that there as well. Or you can get multiple copies, whatever you want. We will be doing a giveaway during this stream for the game plus the DVD. We'll be doing a couple of those at least.
I made him do it. He didn't want to do it, but I was like, Dave, you have to do it.
You guys are lucky that Aaron's here because he is the one who encouraged me to do a giveaway. In fact, the idea in general is Aaron's idea, so full credit to Aaron. So this is the board game that will be given away today. It is a 1 to 4 player board game. It's cooperative. You are fighting the orcs. For those of you who have seen the Rangers movie, any of the Rangers movie, but particularly the Rangers Bloodstone movie, then you'll know that it is based off of that. You can play as my character in the movie, right there. And then the other characters in the movie, Aaron's got a character. That's his right there. Hunter, if you're watching this, that's your daughter. That's Lynn Vander on the far side. We have Sharia and Bjorn on either side of me. Lady of the Woods right there, and then the Ancient One on the very, very far side. So super exciting for me to be able to do this today. And like I said before, also giving away a copy of the movie itself, a DVD copy. Now, there aren't a whole lot of these here, so these are limited. And these are available on the Mini Wargaming website, shop.miniwargaming.com. You can get a bundle, or you can just get the board game just by itself.
Yeah, and if you filter new to old, they will pop up as the first items because they were just created.
Yes, indeed. They were just added to the website. And to answer your question, Tom Rogue Dice, the Hungry Nexus is going to go out today. If you haven't seen it already, that's going to be premiered today. That's a narrative campaign that we've been working on. All of us in the studio are participating in that, so that's super exciting and super cool. Seaworm, you did not know this existed before today. Well, now you know it exists. So this is super fun. Aaron, you got your copy of the game?
I do.
I got my copy. I played a number of times. And it is a 1 to 4 player game. So if you're stuck in quarantine somewhere, perhaps, or you're not going out many places in general, it is a fun game to play on your own or with others.
Yeah, so I've played it a couple times, technically with others, but the other was a 6-year-old, so it was mostly on my own. And it's super fun. I've really enjoyed playing through the game a bunch of times, and I can't wait to play it with a group of proper adults.
What about improper adults? Would you play with those?
If one of them was you, then sure.
If one of them was me. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to play as my own character in the game. I think that's the only way that's fitting. And perhaps you should play as your character. I mean, that's kind of...
I mean, that does make the most sense.
It does make...
I
agree with this. So for those of you who are wondering why Aaron... what his involvement is in this whole thing, Aaron is one of the producers of this movie. He's the primary producer of this movie, of the film. So without Aaron, this film would not be possible. And so thank you for that, Aaron. Thank you for helping me fulfill one of my dreams.
I think it was more emotionally supporting you at 3 o'clock in the morning while you were writing it and having breakdowns about editing. But
that's very accurate. Yes, very, very accurate. We shouldn't leave out those necessary juicy details. But yeah, that's certainly a thing. Many discussions over the years about this project, but it's finally done and complete in its entirety. So it's a lot of fun. Like I gotta say, it's surreal playing as my character from the movie, and I've played it a bunch of times. I played about 15 times so far.
Oh geez, I feel bad now. I've only played it like 3 times.
But I've had a chance to play it with my family, and it's other members of my family that are in the movie that are characters in the game as well. So we played a bunch together. I've played it with Farah and Dana, and I've also played it solo on my own. So I've played it a number of different ways, a number of different times, and it's a challenging game. I didn't win every single time. There were times when the game beat me because it is a cooperative game. It is us, the peoples of Adrasil, of the Grimmick Mountains in particular, fighting the raiding orc warbands and preventing them from capturing and searching for the Bloodstone, which is what they're doing. They're raising villages, and we have to protect these villages, fight the orcs, and build up said villages by means of using resources that we gather from orc warbands and from collecting them from the villages itself. So it's a mixture.
There is a bit of non-cooperative play where each character has their own quests that they have to fulfill before they can come back together as a group. So sometimes those quests can take somebody pretty far away from where you need them to be to win the game, or could just straight up be like, no, I have to go do this other thing. It doesn't matter what the other people are doing. I've done a couple run-throughs playing myself as more than one character, and I have found times where it was just like, oh, to fulfill these 2 quests, I'm never going to get back to the town that I need to be at in time. That was definitely one of the endings of the game. So it's cooperative, but it still has that, you know what I mean? There is still some interpersonal aggression if you need that in a board game.
Some I'm off on my own doing my own thing, and like whatever you want to do is up to you.
Exactly.
The sabotage element.
It's passive aggressive more than aggressive, but yes.
So I'm not going to help you or protect you against these orcs who are fighting you. I see. Yeah. So here, I'm actually going to include a link here in the chat for those of you who are curious and are interested in the game. I'll include a couple links just so it's unquestionable where to go, and that's on the website. So that's now available on the site. And that's why I post multiple times, because in this one posting of the links, it for some reason just didn't show up on Twitch, but the other 3 did. So that's why I post multiple times, and that's why it works. So
here's the other interesting thing. So I was looking back at our photos, and I realized that this weekend is the 4-year anniversary of when we went to go actually make the game. So we went the weekend of February 14th to the studio that ended up producing the game 4 years ago this weekend. And so we didn't plan this or anything, you know what I mean? It's like, obviously we didn't plan for it to take 4 years, but we definitely didn't plan on having the live stream and the game going up for sale almost to the day 4 years later. But I thought that was pretty cool, full circle, almost to the day.
Yeah, that is kind of fortuitous in the day syncing OCD-ness. So, but yeah, so it's fun. I'll eventually be making a playthrough of the game. I think that makes sense to do that, to show, here's how to play the game. This is different characters. This is your quests. And then here's where you can get the game.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Ask away.
In any of the playthroughs, have you let anybody else play you?
While I was playing, no. Funny question. Now, that being said, I've played as different people.
Right.
Yeah, it just so happened that no one wanted to play as me. So there you go.
Right. I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It wasn't a matter of me not letting them. They wanted to play as different people. So.
It's just the unspoken rule. Is if Dave's playing, he plays his character or no one does.
Hey, I didn't say that. No one said that. But it was actually a lot of fun. They did a really good job with the game design. It's the replayability is great because there's different levels of difficulty and there's different numbers of players and there's different quests that different characters have, and you can mix and match which characters you're playing with. And it is a challenge. So if you like cooperative games that are challenging, like let's see, what's one that I can think of that
Battlestar Galactica.
Haven't played it, but I can imagine it might be something similar. Okay, so Pandemic. That's actually in the resource gathering aspect. There's similarities. In the fighting aspect, Dungeon Quest, if you've played that game, there's similarities in that the combat isn't done through dice rolling. It's cards that you flip, and it's almost like a rock, paper, scissors when it comes to if you're fighting with ranged attacks, melee attacks, or magic attacks. And so you go in not knowing what you're going to get as your bonus. And so there's a chance you could fail an attack, which is...
there's not a way of winning by yourself without everybody else losing, to answer one of the questions. Everybody wins or everybody loses.
Correct,
So,
yeah.
But there is this tension between getting your own side quests done and making sure that everybody gets them done, which adds a level of difficulty that a passive-aggressive player could use. You know what I mean? In a negative way. But yes, in the end, everybody wins or everybody loses. There's no way for one person to win.
Right. Unless you're the only one playing. That's the only way one person can win.
Unless you're the only one playing.
So, okay, so you're a character. Let me think about your character here, because I've never played as you. I wanted you to play as your character first before I asked. And Estic Max, yes, I'm looking for my World Eaters Codex too, because that is something that needs to happen pretty much immediately. But so your upgrades and your stuff. I got a copy of the game here.
Yeah. So I'm an elf ranger. I'm good at combat. I'm bad at shooting, and I'm bad at magic. I have two sort of side quests that are kind of fun, and I actually kind of prefer the shooting characters. So I've only played myself once.
So hold on, what are your stats?
411.
You're 411, so you're best at close combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like playing Drewston.
You've played as Drewston before?
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm quite flattered.
I mean, I'm just going to say this. When you look at the cards, technically everything is balanced because they all equal to the same number.
Yes.
But I feel like Bjorn and Drewston are actually the two most balanced characters if you wanted balance, because Bjorn is 3 combat 2 archery and you're 2 combat 3 archery, and everybody else is kind of, you know what I mean, either really high or really low.
Ancient one is 222.
The ancient one is 222. That's true.
Same with Isabel.
Yeah. But I feel like just in my playthroughs, the close combat and the archery came into play more often than the magic did. I don't know if you've had a different experience playing the game, but I felt like those two stats were more important than magic.
It depends. Because like I've played with Lady of the Woods before, and she needs a high magic bonus to come up with the event cards in order for her to get her personal quest done. And so that matters because sometimes the magic bonus is 0 and sometimes it's like +4 or +5. So it seems like it's skewed one way or another with the magic. With the close combat and range, it seems to be more balanced in the middle. It's less often you have like 0s as the bonus or 5s on the bonus. So that's what I found. And just as a balancing thing, you know the night events that require you to place 3 orc warbands? Have you ever seen those?
Yes.
Okay, so I took those out.
Oh, really?
Because I found that it was, especially with one player, it was just way too overwhelming. Because if those came back to back, then you're done.
Yeah, the game's over.
The game's over,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of rolling a dice and like, okay, well, I got a 1 on my charge, and I needed a 2. So like, it's one of those cases where it's just too hard, so I took it out.
Well, I'll have to play through more. I only got that once, and it was in a game where I was playing multiple characters, so I was able to deal with it. But I could see that being a real problem if you're playing it by yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And I also found that the game itself does a good job of balancing protecting villages and getting personal quests and finding the bloodstone, because that's ultimately your goal as a player, is to find the bloodstone and to protect the village that has the bloodstone and build up that village.
Yeah, so here's the map if anybody's interested. You have all these different locations that you need to go to, building up all these villages, and one of those locations has the bloodstone, and you have to figure out where the bloodstone is, which is problematic because a random orc band could walk into a village that you've been ignoring or haven't gotten to and flip over the bloodstone, and the game is over.
Yeah. So it's the second one. Because there's 2 shards of the bloodstone, and if you find the first one, then the second one becomes the actual bloodstone. And same with the orcs. If they find the first one, the second one they find is the actual bloodstone.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the luck of the dice there, right? Like, you place all these tokens upside down, the bloodstone tokens, and you don't know where the bloodstone is until you flip that over. And you can't start searching for the bloodstone until your personal quest has been completed. And I found that Bjorn's personal quest is the hardest one to actually complete. His one is you got to build up that middle village to a stone wall, but you require more resources to do it. So it's just hard to do that early on in the game because you're fighting things. And because I played once with him, and the game that I played with him, I lost because it was just really difficult.
And then you burned his card.
And then I never played as him again. But that's a challenging one though. But once you get your bonus, you get a combat bonus to all of your stats. I think it is within a certain radius of your village. So that's super cool and rewarding once you get it done. But you got to get it done first.
Yeah.
So what's your personal quest? Do you remember yours?
I don't off the top of my head. I could read them. I don't recall.
So for Drewston's personal quest, he's got to find Reyna, his daughter, just like in the Ranger's Bloodstone film, if you've seen the film. So everything that happens in the board game, narratively speaking, coincides with what happens in the feature film. So it's fun and satisfying to see that happen in the game. Your character was created in the world of Adrasil, not represented in the film, but represented in the game. And so, what did you see as your personal quest?
Oh, I gotta look it up.
Oh, okay.
I played myself one time, and then I've played you all the other times.
Seriously? Why?
I played other characters when we were in development. So like when we got the development package, Lord knows how long ago, I played the other characters then, and we kind of went round robin and played all the characters and then gave feedback on the game. So I actually don't know what's changed because I haven't gone through all the characters yet,
Hmm.
from the development phase to the actual product phase. So I don't know if you know what has changed.
Oh, I see. Okay. I don't know the old playtesting version enough to know what's changed, if that's what you're asking.
I feel like it was harder. It might have been that I was less familiar with the game, but I feel like it was harder.
Yeah. I think that it was harder with the exception of Lady of the Woods. Her character was better before because her character was very powerful, so they had to actually nerf her a bit. Because she has an ability that allows you to like basically see danger that's happening and just completely change it. And that was super, super strong. And it made it a must-take every single time you play. But
Right.
now it's more balanced where it's like, okay, cool. She has cool abilities. They're not overpowered, though.
Yeah, so my quest is to get followers, but then kind of not have them.
You have to get them and like give them up, and then you're good.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
And then it gives you the combat bonus.
And then it gives me magic and arrow.
Okay, so then your
Magic
stats
and archery.
become 4-2-2. Those what your stats become.
which is again why I like playing the characters that already kind of start out more balanced. You know what I mean? Because I feel like you get anyways. It's fine. I'm happy.
You know, it's interesting because I find that playing with Drustin, because he starts with a range bonus of 3 and a close combat bonus of 2. I never use his magic stat ever. It's always one of the first 2. And when I collect followers, it's always either archer followers or it's close combat followers, right? To kind of boost those 2 already strong stats. And then when I'm fighting against stuff, it's like, okay, I will use whatever one is high, obviously.
Right, but you go to a 3-4 archery combat.
Right.
Which is pretty freaking sweet.
But you're already at a 4 close combat.
But everything else is a 1. It's fine. We don't have to go. You know
what? I mean, you could just collect the ranged followers and have that as your stat.
Yes. That's true. Except that part of my quest is each time you recruit, you must discard a follower. If you are over your limit, place one of the discard followers on the empty matching space. So it's it's a balancing act.
Hold on. Each time you recruit, you have to replace a follower?
Yeah, each time you recruit, you must discard followers because you are over your limit. Place one of the discard followers on an empty matching space of this card. So
you swap out followers.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more tricky. But yes, technically I could get better stats in the area that I want. Or I could just play Drustin. It's fine.
Okay. So apparently Joshua says, can't power game with Aaron. I'ma play Dave. Oh, man. Stefan?
I'm gonna make Josh play the ancient one.
Well, if anything, it would make sense for him. Awesome mortificers. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but awesome models. I posted it. I just have to say that because they're awesome. They're skulls on everything. Primaris with skulls everywhere. Reminded me of Corn Primaris. Kind of made me sad that it's not a thing, but it's the closest possible thing to it. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. You know what? Why don't we just jump into a giveaway? What do you say, Aaron?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, if you're watching the stream right now and you would like a copy of the Rangers board game, Legacy of the Rangers board game, with the accompanying DVD, then leave a comment down below. And the comment should be Rangers. So just type in Rangers, and that will be a visual indication to us that you would be okay with receiving this game should the mouse wheel randomly land on your name. I can hear the computer working harder because of the amount of comments that are coming in. So again, if you just jumped on, type in the word Rangers. We're doing the giveaway right now. Okay. What were you going to say?
I said I saw somebody type it in twice.
Okay. Give you guys a few seconds there. Allow the internet to catch up. Three, dos, uno. Boom. Pixel Vegas. Oh, now that's kind of funny because I clicked on your name, but you didn't type in the word Rangers. I got to go back here.
Oops.
Oh, no, you did. I was actually clicking on your second comment. Your first comment does indeed say Rangers. So you are the winner of this first giveaway. We are doing a couple here. So let me see. Pixel Vegas, you are on Twitch. So I'm just going to find you here. Twitch. I'm going to send you a whisper. Pixel Vegas. Excellent.
Congratulations.
Rangers board game.
You can play as Dave.
And as Aaron.
Oh, by the way, just so everybody knows, the players are standees. They're little cardboard standees that you get. There was a time when we were considering commissioning miniatures for the game, but that turned into a very complicated problem 4 years ago that today is probably not a very complicated problem.
You know what? We are actually... so Ron Newcomb, he's the founder of the Forge Studios and the original creator of the Rangers, by the way.
Let's talk about the history a little bit. How this all came to be.
He offered an STL file of Drewston with the board game. Should we include that?
So you can print Drewston?
So you can 3D print it.
I mean, that makes me super jealous, so no.
So that's a definite yes then. Okay, so that is, I mean, if you have a 3D printer, it works out well. If you got a friend who has one, it works out well. Okay, so before we do the second giveaway, just a quick history of the Rangers in general and why it's a thing. What does this have to do with mini wargaming? Well, let me tell you. About over 5 years ago now, geez, we're going on 6 years ago, I went to Gen Con, and I was looking around, first time there, and kind of not going as anything, not as a vendor, not as a special anything, just kind of floating around as a guest of the convention. And the first person I talked to is Ron Newcomb, who is there promoting his independent feature film, Rise of the Fellowship, or The Fellowship. It's an alternate title. It's basically a feature film made about a group of teenagers that are fans of Lord of the Rings, and they imagine this in their minds, and they go on this adventure. Super cool movie. Cool that he was promoting this at Gen Con in the film festival there and selling his film. And so we got to talking. After about an hour of talking to Ron, who has nothing to do with miniature wargaming, he's there promoting his film. I told him, just kind of made an off-the-cuff comment. I said, hey, it'd be really cool to be in a film one day. And so that's when he turns to me and he goes, you know what? I want you in my next film. I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no to that. I'm not sure what that means, but that'd be cool. And he's like, I'm serious. After this convention, I'm going to contact you, and I want to talk about my next film and what we can do. Like, okay. So I give him my info. We jump on a call after the convention, and we do it's like an audition basically for this new project that he has, which is The Rangers, which is a fantasy film that he was making, that he did a Kickstarter for. And he's like, okay, you're in. And I said, all right, so for this film, like, I have no acting experience. I've done a bunch of YouTube stuff, but that's just me being goofy in front of the camera. That's not like traditional acting. And so I said, all right, so to add authenticity to the role, should I grow my hair long? He's like, yes, that would be a good idea. And so by the time we started filming, from the time I started, that was 1 year. So my hair was 1 year long when I did that, which is probably not something that's going to happen again, but interesting experience. 6 months of stupid hair growth. And then also for the accent, I said, okay, so do you want there to be an accent? And he's like, yeah, just think of Game of Thrones. Like, there's multiple different kind of fantasy-esque type of accents. There's not one in particular, but if you want to do something, by all means, go for it. So I was practicing stuff, and then I showed my dad the accent that I was practicing. And I was trying to make it some sort of version of fantasy, unrecognizable English, watered down, whatever it was going to be, right? And he's like, oh, my dad, he's like, is the accent supposed to be Australian? I'm like, no, not at all, not even close. Oh, man. Because he's got no filter when it comes to being brutally honest, right? So I'm like, okay, I got to work on this. That sucks. And I was quite nervous on set of The Rangers in Virginia, by the way. It was filmed in Virginia. First time on a film set. There was about 140 people all together on this one property in the woods, rolling hills and forested area. And there was a professor of acting there who was playing the main ranger. I was one of the rangers as part of the ranger team. And I was with him for 8 days, next to him, talking to him, talking in the accent, and improving upon my accent. And so that was fun. Had I not done that with him, it would have been the Australian accent all the way through the film. And the first scenes that I filmed versus the last scenes that I filmed, the accent improved a lot. And so it was kind of weird with the consistency, in my mind anyway. That's just being overcritical of what actually took place in the film. I didn't have a whole lot of lines in the film itself, mostly just being there, part of the team, and having a good time. And so I went home. On my way home, I said to Ron, I'm like, hey, can I keep the costume? Just in case I want to make some YouTube videos about it. Had no idea how much the costume was worth, right? And he's like, he thought about it. He's like, yeah, that'd be a good idea to promote the film. So that was an interesting story, trying to get it over the border. It's like, okay, you can take this over, that's fine, but what's the value of the sword? Like, I have no clue what the value of the sword is for customs purposes. I didn't even buy it. There's no value on it. No, there's a value on it. And so I had to call Ron at the border. I was stuck at the border because I had this costume that I had to get with a dagger and like this bow and arrow. And so it was odd. I felt like I was going to be detained because I was bringing over a knife and a sword. But it ultimately worked out, and I was able to do something. And so this is what
I got detained at the border trying to see you. Did you know about that?
I did not know about that, but it seems to be a thing that happens. But fast forwarding to where Aaron comes into the picture, because I made, come time to like make a video about the Rangers, I didn't want to just make a YouTube video about it. I wanted to actually try my hand at making a short film and make it possibly fit within the canon of the Rangers that Ron had created. And so I had told him about the idea. He was supportive of the idea. He just gave me some conditions. He said, okay, so you can make a film. That's fine. Just make sure that it happens before the Rangers that I made, and your character can't die because that would mess with the continuity. And so basically I took that to mean, all right, so I'm immortal and I can do anything I want. And he's like, okay, yeah, well, pretty much. I'm like, okay, cool. So I looked within the boundaries of the stuff that I could do easily. I thought, okay, I'm going to include my daughter in this, and I'm going to be inspired by the movie Taken. So she'll be kidnapped and I'll have to capture her. And then I'm going to fight some orcs because they're always fun to fight against. And I'll get Quirk and Steve to be in it because I can, dictate their schedule because they're filming with me anyway.
Quirk did such a good job, though.
Quirk did an amazing job. He is the unsung anti-hero of the whole film because you would never know it's Quirk because he's wearing a silicone mask the entire time.
Which is, I think, the single most expensive item for the film outside of the professional sound mixing at the end. But like of all of the things inside of the film that we paid for, I believe that his mask and gloves are the single most expensive item.
Yes. Yep. 100%. And so that was awesome. Getting Quirk to do that. And I told Quirk about the idea of doing that in the short film, right? And he's like, okay, I can try this. So he was watching Guy Ritchie movies to try to get the accent down. And he comes back into my office and he's like, okay, Dave, what do you think of this? And he does an accent at first and it sounded horrible. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? This is bad. Like, okay, Quirk, I got to be honest. You got to work on the accent. It's just not sounding convincing. It's not quite there. He's like, oh, okay. So watches more Guy Ritchie movies and he comes back. And it's like maybe 40% there where I want it to be in terms of comfort level, right? It's like, okay, I could see it. There's definitely improvement, but it's got to be a lot better. It's a lot better than what it's sounding like. Because to my untrained ear, it sounds bad. So if that sounds bad, then it sounds really bad to a trained ear. And so he, again, practices again, and we go over the lines. Next time, about 60%. And so we rehearsed a bunch of times, and the last rehearsal, he was about 80% there when it came to like speaking in character as a convincing orc. And then once he put the costume on and put the mask on, then it became 100%. Because then he was on set, he was in the forests, he was in a setting, and he just became Magra the Merciless. He became the villain in this short film, and it was awesome. My daughter never wanted to talk to him, which is perfect because she was scared of him, right? And it was great. It was absolutely great. And so he did a great job. And so that was the short film. And so then it kind of just, the idea blew up into a feature film because I wanted to make another short film. And I talked to you about that. And we talked about production budget. And it kind of just, it wasn't originally going to be a feature film. It kind of grew into a feature film just because of the amount of people that were involved in the script, and it kept on going. And
so we took the original short film and used that as the beginning of the film, which I think gave us 110 minutes to fill out in order to get to that feature length thing. The shooting of it, like everything was on track and great. We got the Kickstarter funded. You got all the shooting done over the course of like 6 weeks. Yep. I was able to get up there to be in the big market scene, so I am in the movie.
80 people, 80 extras.
Yeah, 80 extras. I remember I was talking about some real world nonsense, and you had to cut my audio because nobody told me that I was supposed to be not talking real world nonsense, but that's okay. And then I think like when it actually set in as to what it was going to take to get all of that, film edited and produced, that's when the real work started, and I think that we both dramatically underestimated the amount of time and resources and mental energy that it was going to take. Because you spent a huge amount of time on the script, you know what I mean? And just,
it was about 8 months.
There was a lot of time on the script. So we thought kind of in our minds, okay, we'll get the script done, we'll get this 6 weeks of filming, and then bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, we'll get it edited and it'll be done and it'll be out. And it was a lot more than that. You know what I mean? Like it took some hard grips with reality and some serious decision making to actually push the film across the finish line. But fortunately we were able to do it because it was a lot of work.
It was absolutely a lot of work. And as Ron Newcomb, the filmmaker who's made a number of films, says, a film will fight you every step of the way to not be made. And there's so much truth to that because filmmaking is just one giant problem-solving puzzle. And it takes a lot to get over hurdles and to figure out solutions to things. And
so it's $12.50. Are we going to do another giveaway?
Yes, let's do that. Let's do the second giveaway. We are giving away another copy of the board game with the DVD copy of the feature film as well. I saw a question there. Is the short film available? Yes, it is on YouTube. Search for the Rangers Drustan Chronicles, Drustan Chronicles on YouTube, and you'll find it. The 20-minute short film. But for those who want to win this, put in the word Bloodstone to let us know that you want to win a copy of this board game this time. Type in the word Bloodstone. But yeah, so that, I mean, and then this kind of came, like, how did the board game come up? Well, part of the Kickstarter campaign.
God.
So
how did the board game come up? Hey guys, let's just make a board game. That can't be too hard. 4 years later, board game.
So, I mean, giving credit to the Kickstarter backers who have been more than patient and generous with their support with this. This was a kind of an afterthought of an idea. It wasn't even part of the original intent to attach this as an idea for one of the pledge levels, because it was just originally supposed to be about the film, right? And so this did come up as an idea. I thought it would be cool, and it was presented in such a way where the time in which it would take to make it didn't seem too long. And so I thought, okay, cool, we can get it done. But the real world and real life coming into play, it just took longer, much more than expected. Okay, so choosing the winner here. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations. Steel Man F. You are the winner of this second giveaway. Now, you're a user on YouTube, so email support@miniwargaming.com to claim your prize and let us know that you won the Rangers Board Game Plus DVD. And yes, include your shipping address, phone number, email as well, so that we can get this sent to you through the warp super, super quick and super awesome.
With a Gellerfield, let's just be clear.
It'll make it to the other side of the Cicatrix using the Cicatrix, because that's the warp, essentially. Okay. So that's it for that. All right, and that's that. So, Aaron, thank you for producing the film, for being a character in the board game that you used once, and for and for everything that you've done. Honestly, like, without this, without you, this project wouldn't be possible, right? Like you are actually the unsung hero behind this whole thing, because it wouldn't be a thing without you.
Well, I'm glad to have been part of it, because it's really fun and it's very enjoyable. And now that it's all wrapped up and tied nicely in a bow, it's an extremely fun thing to have that I'm very proud of. So I appreciate being included in it. So just really quickly, for those, when the Canadian border opens, let me just give you this word of warning when you go to visit Mini Wargaming. When you go to the Rainbow Bridge and you are not Canadian, and they ask you why you're going to Canada, and you answer to visit friends that you met on the internet, and they ask you, what are you going to do? And you say, play war games. They send you to a special parking lot where they make you park and then ask you a lot more questions. So avoid that answer. Just a word of warning.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I was with my mom, who's a lawyer, and she literally facepalmed at every answer that I gave. She was so mad. She was so mad that I got us detained. I got myself, my wife, I think my kid was like 1, and my mom all detained at the Canadian border for being like, yeah, we're just meeting people from the internet to play war games. Like, what's the big deal? Like,
I mean, that is the truth.
that was the truth.
Well, good tip. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you want a copy of the game or a copy of the Game Plus bundle with the DVD, I've provided 2 links in this post, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. So check out those links. And thank you all. Stay tuned next week, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, for the Shrine of Chaos.